Let's take a look at the murder in 1986 of the Prime Minister of Sweden, Olof Palme. Now, what's interesting about his death is that there were so many inconsistencies. For example, he was unaccompanied with his wife leaving the cinema. There were no security staff around, and Sweden was and still is a pretty quiet place in various areas, and they have a much smaller population than other cities. Now, the interesting thing is that before this gentleman became Prime Minister, there wasn't an awful lot known about him. And then, of course, he was assassinated in 1986. And then we're told, right, that was it. He's dead, it's done and dusted. However, I advise you to look a little bit into this case, because you will find that there's a lot of inconsistencies regarding that his wife was also shot at, and that the bullets were found, magic bullets that went through her coat and yet turned corners, magic bullets that also turned corners and were found in the most unlikely places in terms of direction of where the gun was fired. So there's a lot of question marks around the whole case. Indeed, lots of people are referring to it as a hoax death. Now, bearing in mind, this really did shock the Swedish population at that time, and they're very devastated at this. I mean, their Prime Minister assassinated on the streets of Stockholm. It was really quite a powerhouse that hit the population. What's also interesting is that a lot of people died who started to ask questions or inquire about why were the bullets found in such unusual spaces, why the police didn't cordon off the area. Anyway, I'd advise you to perhaps take a look and maybe go to lightonconspiracies.com, which is a website where the owner of the website has written various books on the death of Olof Palme. Now, I happened to catch a lecture that he gave recently, and that's what got me asking a question, because as soon as I saw the photographs of the former Prime Minister who was killed, I suddenly thought, well, my mind sort of aged him up, and I just thought, that's George Soros to me. And again, George Soros, he's a man with a lot of years which appear to be missing. People don't know what he was doing at certain times of his life. So with that in mind, and knowing that he's the founder of many non-governmental organisations which appear to get involved in other countries' issues and disrupt them, and yet he makes money by causing a rebellion or paying some organisation to do things on his behalf, and he gets rich from it. So looking at that, and I thought, well, if the Swedish Prime Minister was a false flag, and if he is the same person who turns up elsewhere and has used his other identity, which is George Soros, then I couldn't help but see that, well, given that there are so many false flags and fake deaths, it's totally plausible in one way to look at it that he's just playing another character role for the destruction and the bringing about of this new world order we keep hearing about. Anyway, I sort of put these images together, and as you can see, there's a lot of similarities, and it is plausible, and it's certainly something to think about, as in, why does the former Prime Minister's wife not say a word about it? Why were there a lot of people who died who seem to have known something, and why did they blame the death on various vagrants in Sweden, and yet each time they said something, the description was so different? And first of all, immediate witnesses were saying the man looked like this, and then other people were saying the man looked like something else. So there's a real mystery here, and I think that certain people should just take a fresh look at who we're being told is who. Thank you.